And you'll notice that sometimes I'll call her Ann Sullivan, and sometimes Ms. Sullivan, and sometimes I'll call her Sully, because she's always been Sully to me. A lot of people know her as Ms. Sullivan, a lot of people know her as Ann Sullivan. But to those of us on the team, she was always Sully. And when we go to competitions now, one of the songs that we listen to on the bus to the school is O'Sullivan's March. And for those of you who know Irish names, O'Sullivan simply means of the Sullivans. And we listen to that song because, you know, each one of us considers ourselves a descendant of Ann Sullivan. We consider ourselves to be the people of the Sullivan. And Ann is the Sullivan to us. She started her coaching career at St. Leo's in Lewistown, Montana, believe it or not. And then was in Havre, Montana, back when Havre was a AA school, which most of us don't even realize was something once upon a time. While she was at Havre, she actually coached the Havre Blue Ponies to a second place finish at state in 1984-1985. That year, Havre beat Bozeman High at state. Bozeman finished third. The coach that Ann Sullivan beat that year was Bob Adams. Bob had decided to retire, and like a true hawker, he decided the only person who could replace him was somebody better than him. And so he went after Ann Sullivan and got her to come to Bozeman High. The next year, she led Bozeman High to switch that finish and take second at state. That was in 1986. That was the last time a Sullivan coach team would take second for a while. The 16 years that Sully coached at Bozeman High, she finished third one time. She finished second 5 times. And her teams finished state champions 10 times. 1987, 1989, 1990, 1991, 1992, 1993, 1995, 1996, 1997, and her final year coaching of 2002, and led the Bozeman Hawkers to state championships. In that time, including her time in Havre, she coached an incredible 13 state champion policy debate teams. 2 at Havre and 11 at Bozeman. So only 5 times in her career at Bozeman High did her policy debate teams not win the state championship. That's a statistic that is listed in the state program to this day as an example of competitive excellence. Just 2 years after she retired, the National Speech and Debate Association, as a body nationwide, voted to induct Ann Sullivan into the National Coaching Hall of Fame. She was the first person from the entire Northwest to be inducted into that Hall of Fame. 3 years later, her first year of eligibility, she was inducted into the Montana Forensics Educators Hall of Fame. I was lucky enough to be coaching at that time and to see Ann Sullivan honored that day, and I'm incredibly lucky to be introducing her today. The team award that we give, that's given to the best senior on the team, not just competitively, but the senior who embodies everything this team stands for, is now named the Ann Sullivan Hawker of the Year Award. The Montana Debate Coach of the Year Award is now named the Ann Sullivan Debate Coach of the Year Award. Probably more importantly to me and the members of the team who you all saw sitting in the balcony today is the fact that in 2004, Ann Sullivan heard that I was back in town. And the head coach at the time, Jim Maxwell, was looking for an assistant coach. I don't think I have ever deserved the belief that Ann Sullivan had in me. I was a difficult kid, but Sully always saw something there. And I had been out of academia for 10 years. I had been bouncing, bartending, running security, and things like that. I came back home, and Sully suggested that Maxwell call me to be his assistant coach. And the rest really is history. I went that one day, my first day coaching, and I decided to become a teacher because my opinion of humanity did a complete 180 from what it had been after working security in bars for a decade. I saw, I think, what kept Sully coaching all of those years. I saw hope. I saw young people who cared. I saw young people who I really thought could make a difference in the world, and so I stayed. I went back to school to become a teacher. I kept coaching. I eventually became the head coach, and all of it goes back to Anne Sullivan's belief in me. I have always considered myself to be Sully's prodigal son, and it gives me a satisfaction that nothing else could to introduce to all of you this year's history-making hawker, my coach, Anne Sullivan.